offshore turbines increases maintenance costs even more. The maintenance costs of wind turbines can reach almost 20% of the levelized cost of energy. But in the grand scheme of things, wind is still incredibly cheap. However, we don't know the precise mechanisms causing these gearbox failures. What we do know is that the wear shows up as these small cracks that form on the bearings. They are called white etch cracks from the pale material that surrounds the damaged areas. This problem only gets worse as wind turbines get bigger and more powerful, requiring even more gear stages to convert the incredibly high torque being developed by the large diameter rotors. One way of avoiding all of these maintenance costs is to skip the gearbox and connect the blades directly to the generator. But a different kind of generator is needed. The output frequency of the generator needs to match the grid frequency. Slower revolutions in the generator need to be compensated for with a very large diameter generator that has many more magnetic poles, meaning a single revolution of the generator passes through more alternating magnetic fields, which increases the output frequency. The largest wind turbine ever made, the Haliade X, uses a direct drive system. You can see the large diameter generator positioned directly behind the blades here. This rotor disc is 10 meters wide with 200 poles and weighs 250 tons. But this comes with its own set of issues. Permanent magnets require neodymium and dysprosium, and China controls 90% of the supply of these rare earth metals. Unfortunately, trade negotiations and embargoes lead to fluctuating material costs that add extra risk and complexity to direct drive wind turbines. Ireland is testing these new wind turbines here in the Galway Wind Park. The blades were so large that this road passing underneath the Loch Italia rail bridge, which I use to walk home from school every day, had to be lowered to facilitate the transport of the blades from the nearby docks. It takes years to assess the benefit of new energy technologies like this, but as wind turbines get bigger and more expensive, direct drive systems become more attractive. The next challenge is getting the electricity created inside these generators to match the grid frequency when the speed of the wind constantly changes. The frequency of current created by permanent magnet generators matches the speed of the shaft. If we wanted the generator to output the US standard 60 Hz, we could design a rotor to rotate 1,800 times per minute. With 4 poles, 2 north and 2 south, this will result in 60 cycles per second. This has to be exact. Mismatched frequencies will lead to chaos on the grid, bringing the whole system down. Managing grid frequency is a 24/7 job. In the UK, grid operators had to watch a popular TV show themselves so they could bring pumped hydro stations on.
Today, we're going to be talking about wind energy. My name is Tariq Levy, and this is my entry for exam 4 on wind turbines. Everyone has seen a wind turbine, whether it have been, the old-timey ones in movies or the more industrial ones that you see in TV, documentaries, and once again, movies. Wind turbines are about 50 meters. They have big, wide fan-like appendages that catch the wind and turn a generator on the inside that produces electricity. How it works is it has one smaller tooth that creates different rotations for different size teeth that build and build to build more electricity out of wind energy. Everyone has known what wind energy is. It's basically like one of the oldest forms right next to solar power and the most well-known forms next to solar power. And the advantages are really more based on convenience rather than replacing an energy. Most wind turbines aren't really for like powering a city or powering a town. They're really for more rural areas, rural farmers, rural industries that don't really have the access to, mainland or like big city energy that everyone else does. Biggest country leaders in that are China for offshore, which is where you put them in the water itself. The United Kingdom, Ireland, they really are the world's leaders in that realm. Disadvantages and challenges. The biggest advantage is that it gets to provide pretty reliable energy to areas that may have gone without it in the past or may not have been privy to it as much as like another bigger city. Challenges with that though is that they're usually very expensive. Commercial turbines can go from anywhere from 2 million to 4 million. And even though they're a renewable energy source because they're based on wind doesn't always blow. So they only get to work at full power maybe 35% of the time. Not only do they only get to work 35% of the time, they sometimes have caught on fire. Yeah, they're not the greatest at durability. Most gears for the inside have been told to last for at least 20 years, but most wind turbine farms report that it's like 7, and then you can run into some real issues. And that is another thing. Not only is the turbine expensive, the upkeep is expensive. It costs a lot to send someone 50 meters in the air to replace any gear piece, any tools that need to be worked on, and things of that nature, because it's 50 meters in the air. Future potential, I do believe that with a couple tweaks, there can be more wider use in less rural areas. There's a lot of places I think of, even in South Carolina, where they're rural, but they're not fully rural. Service, to get personal here, where I'm from, power goes out every time it rains too hard or anything of that nature. Wind and rain knock out my power. I would much rather appreciate something that is powered by wind and rain. But that's just my personal opinion. That is my been submission for exam 4, and that is what I have learned about wind turbines. Thank you so much. I very much so appreciate it.